Hello everyone. We are going to study today about chapter 8. The main theme is the organization structure and control systems. This chapter's learning goals are to understand the importance of appropriate organizational structure to effective strategy implementation, and to become familiar with the types of organizational designs suitable for the level, the scope of internationalization of the firm, and to be able to recognize why and when organizational restructuring is needed, and to understand the role of technology in the evolution of the networked structure, and to appreciate the role of human networks in achieving business goals, and to realize how organizational design affects managers' job, for example, on the level and location of decision making. Lastly, to emphasize the role of control and monitoring systems suitable for specific situations in the firm's international operations. As an opening profile, Samsung Electronics recognized the fight a downturn. As the companies changed their structures to align with new strategic directions and competition, but also to respond to the development in their operating environments. Such was the case early in 2009 when Samsung Electronics of Seoul, South Korea implemented a radical reorganization in order to become more efficient to deal with worsening economic conditions. As a result, Samsung Electronics Company announced a major restructuring which necessitated reassigning 2/3 of its executives and relocating 1,200 staff members. See here, when the environment was badly hit by the global economic downturn in Samsung Electronics Company, Samsung implemented a radical reorganization in 2009 and made consolidating business operations into 2 operating divisions. And it replaced the heads of 5 of its 8 overseas operations. A firm's structure must fit with its strategy, that is, be conducive to its implementation. Choice of structure also should be contingency-based, taking into consideration factors such as the firm's size, the appropriate technology, the organizational environment, geographic dispersion, and differences in time, language, cultural attitudes, and business practices. Many managers find it more difficult to develop the appropriate organizational structure than it is to develop the strategy. Structure continues to change over time with growth, increasing levels of investment or diversity, and the types of strategy chosen. This structural evolution that accompanies internationalization is known as the stages model. So some firms do not follow the stages model because they start their internationalization at a higher level of involvement. Even mature multinational corporations must make structural changes sometimes. For example, the reorganization of Aluminum Company of America, so Alcoa, split the company into smaller, more autonomous units to give greater focus to growing businesses where the market for aluminum is strong. Alcoa also sought to increase communication by linking similar geographically dispersed businesses. This slide shows the typical ways in which firms organize their international activities. There are domestic culture plus export department. And then domestic structure plus foreign subsidiary. And the next stage changes the global functional structure and international division. And then they forward to global product structure and they use matrix structure organization. These are typical ways to structure international activities. There are several common ways that firms organize their international activities, which are presented in this and the following slides. There are domestic structure plus foreign subsidiary organization. There are chief executive officer and headquarters departments consist of finance, production, marketing, and human resource management. And VP, Vice President International Operation, control the area, overseas subsidiary, Japan, Germany, Mexico, and etc. With further expansion, the firm may create an international division organized along functional, product, or geographic lines. In this case, foreign subsidiaries are organized under the international division, and subsidiary managers report to its head. In turn, the head reports to the CEO of the corporation. This structure allows managers to coordinate resources for foreign activities under one roof and thus facilitates the beginning of a global strategy. Examples of companies with an international division are IBM and Pepsi. Their divisions are called IBM World Trade and Pepsi-Cola International, respectively. There are three integrated global structures presented in this and the following slide. These structures allow companies to respond to increased product diversification and to maximize benefits from both domestic and foreign operations. The global functional structure is based around the organizational functions, for example, production, marketing, finance, with foreign operations integrated into the activities of each function. The structure is primarily used by small firms with highly centralized systems and is appropriate for product lines using similar technology and for business with narrow spectrum of customers. The result is plants that are highly integrated across products and that serve single or similar markets. Here are international division. It's organized along functional product or geographic lines. And I explained already about the IBM World Trade and Pepsi-Cola International. It's internationalized. This global function structure is designed on the basis of the company's functions. The laws for functional specialization and economies of scale. The economy of scale makes the cost down. For companies with diverse product or service lines and that are aimed at dissimilar or dispersed markets, a global product divisional structure may be more strategically advantageous than a functional structure. In this structure, a single product or product line has its own production and sales functions. Often each division is a strategic business unit, SBU, or self-contained business with its own functional department and accounting systems. The advantages of this structure are market concentration, innovation, and responsiveness to new opportunities in a particular environment. It also facilitates diversification and rapid growth. Nonetheless, the structure can create difficulties in the coordination of widely dispersed operations. One answer to the difficulties associated with global product structure is to use a global geographic area structure, which is the most common form of organizing foreign operations. With this structure, divisions are created to cover geographic areas. Regional managers are responsible for the operation and performance of the countries within a given region. As such, country and regional needs and relative market knowledge take precedence over product expertise. In this structure, the focus is on marketing and adapting products to local requirements. Nestle company is a good example of a company using the global geographic structure. They produce a range of products that can be marketed through similar channels of distribution to similar customers. A matrix structure will be introduced later. A matrix structure is a final option from which organization can choose, but it has recently fallen into disfavor. A firm's structural choices always involve two opposing forces. The need for differentiation, focusing on and specializing in specific markets. And another is the need for integration, coordinating those same markets. The way a firm is organized along the differentiation integration continuum determines how well strategies along the localization and globalization continuum are implemented. A globalization strategy treats the world as one market by using a standardized approach to products and markets. Here are differentiation as focusing on and specializing in specific markets. Integration means coordinating those same markets. IBM is an example of a company reorganizing to achieve globalization. They are moving away from a geographic structure toward the use of centralized industry expert teams. A globalization strategy usually involves rationalization and the development of strategic alliances. To achieve rationalization, managers must choose the manufacturing location for each product based on where the best combination of cost, quality, and technology can be attained. This means different parts and components are often produced in different countries, and that product design, marketing are essentially the same in all markets. As such, differentiation and specialization in local markets is minimized. Another risk associated with globalization is exposure to volatility from all corners of the globe. Here are IBM case, it's moved away from its traditional geographic structure to a global structure for ROA objective. ROA means return on assets. ABB, Asia Brown Boveri, is legendary in changing its organizational structure to fit its new strategic direction and its competitive environment. In their rush to become global, many companies sacrificed the ability to respond to local markets and customer preferences. They are now realizing they must find a structure that allows them to be global, act local. Two companies that have successfully struck a balance between globalization and localization is Levi-Strauss. Levi-Strauss gives foreign managers freedom to adjust their tactics to meet the changing tastes of their home markets. Additionally, although the company maintains centralized control of some aspects of the business, it decentralized control to its foreign subsidiaries. The subsidiaries are supplied by a global manufacturing network. As such, Levi's achieves local coordination and the flexibility to respond to ever-changing fashion trend and fads in denim shading. There are be global and act local. This catchphrase for globalized organization. In January 2006, Gillette India announced merger plans with Procter & Gamble, P&G, India. Even though it would remain a separate legal entity, Gillette intended to take P&G's structure as a means of increasing reach, cost efficiencies, speed to market, and growth momentum. P&G structure is divided into three heads: GBU, Global Business Units. Its philosophy is think globally. And MDO, Market Development Organization. It's the act locally, for act locally. And GBS is Global Business Service. It's enabling P&G to win with customers and consumers. Gillette will move from business units based on geographic regions to GBUs based on product lines. MDOs will develop market strategies to build business based on local knowledge. GBS, Global Business Units, will bring together business activities such as accounting, human resource systems, order management, and information technology. P&G is the only consumer products company with global shared services, all supported by innovative corporate functions. So now about inter-organizational networks. Multinational cooperation linkages with different companies, subsidiaries, suppliers, and individuals result in relational global networks. Regarding the multinational corporations' overall structure as a network of interconnected relations helps them consider organizational design imperative at both global and local levels. The network framework makes clear that the company's operating units link vastly different environmental and operational contexts based on varied economic, social, and cultural milieus. Philips and Intel are examples of companies with inter-organizational networks. The global e-cooperation network structure involves a network of vital e-exchanges and bricks and mortar services. This structure of functions and alliances makes up a combination of electronic and physical stages of the supply chain network. Philips has operating units in 60 countries. These units range from large subsidiaries to very small single-function operations. Some have centralized control at Philips headquarters, others are autonomous. In 2005, Intel developed a structural focus called platformization, which is customizing a range of chips in combination suitable for a particular target market as a response to the need for speed adaptation. Because Intel company is not very hierarchical, its formalized structure is not a good representation of how the company works. This figure explains the global e-cooperation network structure. Such a structure combines some global and some local functions. Customized e-exchanges for logistics supplies, and customers could be housed anywhere. Suppliers manufacturers, and distributors may be in various countries separately or together. Wherever efficiencies of scale and cost may be realized. The final distribution system and customer interaction must be tailored to the customer location, physical infrastructure, and payment infrastructure, as well as local regulations and languages. The end result should be efficiency and cost effectiveness throughout the chain. Dell Company is an example of a company that uses the global e-cooperation network structure. As shown in this figure, Dell's strategy is to conduct critical activities in-house while outsourcing non-strategic activities. Here are matrix structure and the transnational company about coordination and control system. Here are attempts to combine the capabilities and the resources of a multinational corporation and the economies of scale of global corporation, and the local responsiveness of a domestic company, and the ability to transfer technology efficiently and typically of the international structure. Let's see about choice of organizational form. Two major issues in choosing the structure and design of an organization are the opportunities and need for globalization, here, opportunities and need for globalization in vertical line, and localization, here, horizontal line, opportunities and need for localization. This exhibit shows alternative structural forms appropriate to each of these variables and to the strategic choices regarding the level and type of international involvement desired by the firm. It updates the evolutionary stage model to reflect alternative organizational responses to more recent environments and to the anticipated competitive environments ahead. As the company progresses through various stages from domestic to transnational one, the organizational structure must be updated to accommodate changes in narrative focus on globalization versus localization, choosing a global product structure, a geographic area structure, or perhaps a matrix form. Signs of organizational inefficiency or any major organizational change usually indicate the organizational structure must change as well. This slide and the next highlight some of the change indicators presented. They particularly highlight international indicators that change is needed. Let's see some phenomenon for organizational change and design need. clashes among divisions, subsidiaries, or individuals of territories or customers. Duplication of administrative or personnel services, sales offices, account executives. An increase in overseas customer service complaints, and so on. When modifying the organizational structure, managers must establish a system of communication and control that will provide for effective decision-making. The organization design must determine effective behaviors at both the macro and micro levels. The level of decision-making centralization can have important consequences, and it's a matter of degree. This figure illustrates the centralization, decentralization continuum and the different ways that decision-making can be shared between headquarters and local units or subsidiaries. Two key issues are the speed with which the decisions have to be made and whether they affect only a certain subsidiary or part of the company. For functions that are organized for the entire organization, for example, finance, research and development, and centralization is generally preferred. In general, though, there is no one best way to organize. Ideally, a company tries to organize in a way that will allow it to carry out its strategic goals. The staffing is then done to fit with those strategic goals and the way the structure has been set up. In reality, though, the result is likely to be trade-off between the desired strategy and existing constraints. Here are. This side is centralized. This side decentralized. Between these two extreme factors, there are many areas of control, so by headquarters or at the local level. This is the locus of decision making in an international organization. What are control systems for global operation? There are two mechanisms. One is direct coordinating mechanism, another one indirect coordinating mechanism. Direct mechanisms include the design of appropriate structures and the use of effective staffing. It will be discussed in Chapter 9. They proactively set the stage for operation to meet goals rather than troubleshooting problems after they occur. When McDonald's company first opened in Moscow in 1990, they anticipated the biggest challenge would be quality control of food products. In response to this challenge, they adopted a strategy of vertical integration for sourcing raw materials and built a large plant in Moscow to process beef, milk, buns, vegetables, sauces, and potatoes. The company also sent Russian managers for 5 months of training in Canada. Another form of direct control is periodic visit to subsidiary by executives from headquarters. These visits allow them to check performance, troubleshoot, and anticipate future problems. Likewise, regular meetings can be a form of direct control. International telephone and Telegraph Corporation, ITT company, holds monthly management meetings at headquarters. Each general manager shares performance data and problems and solutions also are shared. Domestic companies often rely on financial statement analysis, but doing so becomes more complicated for foreign subsidiaries due to exchange rate, inflation levels, transfer prices, and accounting standards. Here, indirect coordinating mechanism. Examples: sales quotas, budget, and financial tools and reports. 3 financial statements are: one for accounting standards in the host country, one for the standards in the home country, and one for consolidation. Lastly, management practices local constraints and expectations regarding authority, time, and communication are some of the variables likely to affect the appropriateness of monitoring or control systems. The degree to which headquarters practices and goals are transferable may depend on whether top managers are from the head office, the host country, or a third country. Research by Bueno and Shakaran indicates that individualism may lead U.S. managers to use more formal communication and coordination processes, whereas Japanese managers may be more likely to use informal and implicit processes. Likewise, because United States managers are often evaluated on individual performance, they are more likely than their Japanese counterparts to build slack into budget calculations. Reporting systems require sophisticated information systems to enable them to work properly. Managers must receive accurate and timely information about sales, production, and financial results to be able to compare actual performance with goals and take collective action when necessary. Research by Negandhi and Welch indicates that United States companies use far more specific functional reports than the German or Japanese multinational corporations. Some companies are taking advantage of the internet to create internet MIS system for supply chain management. Okay, thanks for your joining this online class. See you again. Bye.